Some tree species are unique to Scotland. There are also trees that are linked with either famous people or with royalty. This is the ancient Darnley plane tree or sycamore. It's in Darnley and Glasgow. It's named after Lord Darnley, who was Henry Stuart, the husband of Mary Queen of Scots. In 1567, he was suffering from smallpox, and Mary came to help nurse him back to good health. She went with him back to Edinburgh, where he was killed shortly after. This is an Arran Whitebeam, Sorbus pseudophenica. It's found growing nowhere else in the world other than the island of Arran, so it's unique to Scotland. This species was brought back and grows at Spears Old School grounds before the tree was protected. One unusual thing is it doesn't need to have pollination to produce its seeds. This is the Wallace Utree that grows at Elderslie outside Glasgow. It grows at what's said to be the site of William Wallace's birth. Some say he used to play beneath it as a child. However, dating its tree rings seems to date it back to about 300 years, in other words about 1760, where the William Wallace dates from the 12th century. So the tree is either a clone or is planted in his memory. There are some ruins at the site. There's also a fine memorial to William Wallace. The tree itself will survive for much longer, as clones have been taken, cuttings that is. This ancient sycamore tree or plane tree grows in the walled gardens at Dumfries House. It's said to be a dual tree or tree of sorrow, that is a tree upon which public executions of men were carried out. This was in the days when the barons had the right of pit and gallows, that is life and death, over people judged in their courts. After the Jacobite risings, this power of life and death was taken away from the barons and their feudal courts. These are the ancient Lowland yew trees. The two of them grow in front of what is now the ruins of Lowland Castle. It is said that a family charter was signed here at the time of William the Lion, that is in the 13th century. It's also said that when one of the earls was exiled, he used to write to his wife, the address being the old yew trees at Lowland Castle. This old beech tree is growing at Wallace's seat in Legland Woods near Ayr. Wallace is said to have hid here from the English, and he used to sit and contemplate at Wallace's seat his next move. One of his relations owned land in the area. You can also see from these shots how sometimes trees eat iron. William Wallace was a hero of Robert Burns. There's a memorial cairn here to the two of them. This is the Balmarino sweet chestnut or Spanish chestnut tree. It's thought to have been planted here in 1565 by Mary Queen of Scots. The abbey lies in Fife beside the River Tay. The dates of the tree rings put it about 450 years old. The preserved tree rings on this cut stump are part of the branch of the old tree, give an idea of how the tree can be aged. This engraving shows what was known as Burns's Thorn, or Mary's Tryst. That is a hawthorn tree growing on the old Coylesfield estate, not far from Tolbolton. Apparently grew close to the Coylesfield house. It's said that Robert Burns and Highland Mary would regularly meet here. Nothing is now left of the tree, for the remains of it were taken by souvenir hunters. Nothing remains of the old Coylesfield house, or Montgomery's castle is sometimes known. It was demolished after a disastrous fire. This photograph of 1896 shows the interior courtyard of the old Carelaw Castle near Stevenson in Ayrshire. The tree is said to be a Luburnum tree, given to the owners by David Livingstone. The owners lived in a country house that lay nearby, but this has since been demolished. However, the remains of the old Caerlaw castle are still to be seen. This is one of the old surviving examples of a Camperdown elm, a type of variety or mutant of an elm tree. You can see this one has been grafted onto a normal elm trunk. The tree was found growing on the Camperdown estate near Dundee, and it's named after the Camperdown battle between the Dutch and the British, in which the British were victorious. This is the John Knox tree, but it could also be called the Robert Burns tree. It grows at Finlaston House at Langbank, overlooking the River Clyde. It's said that the first Presbyterian communion service was held beneath this tree by John Knox in the presence of the Earl of Glencairn and his family. Robert Burns is also said to have enjoyed a picnic that is, with the Earl, who's his patron. Burns is said to have engraved some details of his visit on a window pane at the house. The tree itself at one point was said to be growing too close to the house, so it actually dug up and moved on rails and replanted. The Craigans Eu grows near the River Gryfe, not far from Houston. It's thought to be between 600 and 800 years old, and is said to have been planted at the time when the Knights Templars owned the lands here. For many years it grew in a neglected spot, but now it's been cleared of surrounding trees and shrubs, and has a good chance of surviving for a few more hundred years yet. These are the famous Kanso Oaks, which are found not far from the old Kanso Castle near Châtellerault. Some of these trees are at least 700 years old and probably form part of an ancient royal hunting ground. This is the best example of old woodland pasture surviving in Scotland, and sometimes you will see the white wild Chillingham cattle grazing the area. This is Selena's tree that grows on the edge of Eglinton Country Park near Kewinning. The tree is named after the wife of one of the workers in the coal pits on the Eglinton estate in the 19th century. Selena had a stroke, and it was to this tree that she was able to walk each day and then return home, and the tree was named in her memory.